everyone. Welcome back to Flying Solo with Kat. And today I'm going to finally talk about my John Williams Hollywood Bowl concert experience in 2022. A little bit of background about myself and just even going to this concert. I have loved John Williams music even before I called myself a Star Wars fan, Indiana Jones fan, even a Superman fan. Um, I've always loved his music, what he's brought, and the stories that he's been able to tell with his music. I mean, I think the first song that he did that I'd ever heard was the Jurassic Park theme. And his entire, I think that was the first song that I fully heard from him. And I remember just how iconic it was. Immediately when you hear it, you just feel like you're transported to the park, where you're meeting and seeing dinosaurs immediately. And I always found that interesting that you can tell a story with music. And a lot of times when I'm talking about these Star Wars movies and when I'm talking about all of them and the range of them, and even when I did my Indiana Jones review, one of the main things I love to bring up is score. And score brings so much to a movie, and to have a perfect movie, you have to have a good score. I'm sorry if you don't count music as, something that adds to the movie, because surprisingly, there's a lot of people that don't quite much care for it. And for me, honestly, if the music isn't well picked out, then it's not that great of a movie. And a movie is elevated by its music. I love the Batman, right? But I would have felt, okay, whatever. It was a good movie. But because of the music and because of the score that I believe it was Michael Giacchino, correct me on that in the comments, who did the score for Batman, how he elevated that score, it elevated the movie. And for John Williams, of course, he's iconic for Star Wars, but E.T., Jurassic Park, Superman, um, Schindler's List, Indiana Jones. There is a lot to go through and go over. So I've always loved his music. I listen, of course, to Star Wars soundtracks all the time. And so I'm very familiar with his music. I like hearing the familiar parts in completely different franchises. The love theme for Indiana Jones and Marion, is actually very similar to Han and Leia's theme. And listening to them back and forth, you can see some of the same notes that Williams uses and some of the same chord progressions. And for me, that's so cool, but they sound completely different. But you could see how he influences those things with his music. So it feels almost all connected, but at the same sense, you're listening to a different story. So when I'm listening to Indy's and Marion's theme, I don't feel like it's Han and Leia on screen. I feel like, hey, it could work for Han and Leia, but I feel like I'm completely transported into a different story, into a different love theme, but I love how it's still connected. So love his music, and one of the things that I have been honestly starting to want to do is go to concerts and just listen to music and enjoy music. And I love orchestras. My favorite instrument is violin. I've never personally played the violin. I've actually played 5 instruments, but violin is not part of it. And for me, that was the dream. I would love to go see him or go see even just the Philharmonic play in, live. It's so much different seeing it live. So just kind of had that in the back of the mind. And then I saw a post with someone else and we both saw it, and they had tickets and they were almost sold out. We barely got it. And we got actually two decent seats. They were in the far, 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 far left, like right next to basically where, um, you know, people are walking. But I could see the screens and I could see, of course, John Williams. And that was quite important, in the grand scheme of things. But we were the second row back. So the tickets were expensive, but it's John Williams. He is 94 and, a bit morbid, but there's only so many concerts that he will be doing. And this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. So we went ahead and got the tickets. I was ecstatic. I was super excited. I had personally never been to the Hollywood Bowl. I had seen it in videos. I'm a huge fan of Billie Eilish, if y'all don't know. And I watched her special on Disney Plus, and she actually performs at the Hollywood Bowl. I would love to see her at the Hollywood Bowl, but I'd never been there in person. So drive out there was great. It's LA. What do you expect? And we get there, get our tickets. Of course, they had merchandise. It was such a cool t-shirt. It had the T-Rex from Jurassic Park on it. It had, I believe, E.T. It had, I think, a Star Wars character. I did not personally get the shirt. I actually got a hat that said John Williams in concert, which is one of my favorite hats that I have. But the shirt and the poster were really cool because I believe it was the 25th anniversary of Jurassic Park in 2022. So, of course, that was kind of the theme for this, but it was all different music that he had developed. So we get there, we don't really eat anything. There were a lot of people in lines waiting. Thankfully, we ate before. I get there, and there are so many people with lightsabers. I personally did not bring my lightsaber because I did not even think of it, to be honest. I thought, oh, okay, I'm going to go see a John Williams concert. Star Wars was in the mind. I was wondering what songs he would play from Star Wars, but quite honestly, I was really excited to see if he was going to do Indiana Jones and Jurassic Park, and, of course, Schindler's List. So I wasn't even focused on Star Wars, really, but I saw so many people with lightsabers, and funny enough, there were a lot of them with Disney lightsabers, so I wondered if they'd actually traveled out and maybe done like a Disney day and then come here to listen to his music. And it was just, that was really cool to see. And just the amount of younger fans that loved his music from Star Wars, it was really, really cool to see. And that is the power of music. And that is what music can do. It can open so many minds to being creative and open them to so many different worlds that they might have not have explored, without that music. So that was really, really something special that I had never seen before at any other concert. So we get our seats, of course. And it was, of course, during July. So it was hot, but it got cold super, super fast. So thankfully, I brought a jacket. And if you ever are outside for a concert, please bring a jacket and water. It is so, so cold. But we got it. And there were two sections. So the first section was by the Philharmonic maestro, like the one that's there officially for the Hollywood Bowl. And then the second half was actually directed by John Williams, which I thought was cool. I was kind of panicking that I wasn't going to see John Williams, and I was super scared, but it all worked out. So being me, I actually put together a playlist of all of the songs that we heard in order because I'm me. And so I can actually kind of go over which ones I liked, which one I, was introduced to, and which ones that you should definitely check out yourself. So I will not play them because of copyright purposes, but I will talk about them. So the first one was the Hooray for Hollywood, which is kind of the one that they always start out with. It was actually really cute. It gave me La La Land vibes and just really got me into the, hey, we're in Hollywood, this is where movies are made and everything. And it's just like, it's such an American dream, and it's really funny. The overture for the Cowboys was actually really cool. It reminded me of course, a spaghetti western, but of just beautiful music, and very much Cowboys. So I thought that one was very cool. The next one is Scene d'Amour from Vertigo. I had, of course, never seen the movie, and I'd never heard this song before, but to say this song almost brought me to tears, and just the absolute chills that I got from hearing it. I am a sucker for the violin, of course, and to have this song there just moved me. And the fact that it was the third song, I was like, oh my God. So this song is amazing. Please go listen to it if you love the song, the sad kind of type noir music. I think it was really, really well done. And I have not stopped listening to the song since basically, I guess, almost 6 months ago. So go check that out. I will actually put all of the songs in the description so you guys can, go check it out. Because seriously, these songs are amazing, and the entire orchestra was on their best, but of course, John Williams wrote most of this music, so he deserves all of the praise. Dry Your Tears, Afrika was really good, actually. I wasn't expecting that song, but it was good. It's from Amistad, which I, of course, never seen. But it was good. I actually really enjoyed the song. Then we have Duel of the Fates. And Duel of the Fates was, I think, one of the cool... We, of course, saw the choir coming out on the stands, and we were like, oh my gosh. Every Star Wars fan knew, okay, this is Duel of the Fates time. This is where it's going to go down. This is what's going to happen. And just that first start of all of them together, you get chills inside. What was really cool too, and you can actually search this up on YouTube. I posted it on my Twitter. You'd have to go super, super far back to 6 months ago. But the Hollywood Bowl actually put a whole bunch of Star Wars clips on the screen. And one of the things that I loved and actually got both of these amazing people trending on Twitter was the entire second half of Duel of the Fates was all Kylo Ren. All of it. All Kylo Ren clips, Palpatine clips. It was so, so cool. It was, I think, the coolest thing I had ever seen in my life. And, of course, that got John Williams and Kylo Ren trending almost immediately. And it was the best of both worlds. And that was, I think, the coolest one. I would turn around and everyone had their lightsabers up and waving them. Just the energy, even though it was outside, the energy in the bowl was amazing. All of these people just hyped for this song and loved this song, and all these Star Wars fans together just knowing this is it. And hearing it live is so not so different than hearing it on your phone or wherever you're listening, but the atmosphere is definitely, you feel more attached to it. I love Duel of the Fates, don't get me wrong, I love it, but it's, I like better songs from, different Star Wars movies, but hearing it live, I was like, whoa, okay, this is a really good song. I love this song. And so hearing it live is just totally different. So that was the first half. So that was not done by John Williams, but still absolutely amazing. The Philharmonic, they are amazing. I love them so much. So it was about probably a 20-minute intermission. And they come back, and of course, John Williams comes out on stage. We're all clapping for him. We stand up for him, and he just is looking so happy to be there. He's the happiest man I've seen in a long time. And he starts off with the love theme from Superman, which I had not really heard. I've heard it, but not really. So that was kind of cool. And then the March theme from Superman. And I think people have gone on record, or he's gone on record, saying that those are some of his favorite scores that he's done. And he did a little talk in between each song, which I thought was cool too. So I do believe that he mentioned that he really liked the scores for both of the Supermans and that he was happy to have the opportunity to score for Superman. So that was cool, and those were great songs. And then you had The Adventures of Mutt, which, of course, is the Indiana Jones classic. And, you know, from the Crystal Skull, which is really funny. But it is such a good, just Indiana Jones theme, and it really gets you in. And then there was Helena's theme, which, if y'all don't know, I talk about it on length on Twitter all the time. But this song just blew me away when I first heard it. This is right when Dial of Destiny came out, and which was a couple weeks actually before. Actually, I think 1 week before. We went to go see John Williams. I think it was the beginning of July, and I actually got to see it right on opening weekend. And the song with the violin, I do like the violin rendition than the regular, but the regular is still really good. The song moved me so much. And it gives you this sense of Indiana Jones, but just different, and her own theme and Helena's theme and her connection with Indy and wanting to explore the world and do her own thing, but not knowing, you know, much about it or where to go from it, and wants to, you know, hold up so many people, and she has so much doubt within herself. And you get so much from that song, or at least I do, because of the violins, the horns, everything just encompasses together. Now, I think the entire soundtrack for Dial of Destiny was one of the best that I have actually heard from him in a long time. I do think it beats out Rise of Skywalker. Please don't come for me in the comments, but I do think it's a tiny bit better than Rise of Skywalker, but I do love Trust's score, so I will say that. But I almost lost it when he said, if you have not seen Dial of Destiny, there is this woman named Helena, and it was such a pleasure writing a theme for her. And John Williams, when he talks about women characters and writing them in stories, is so genuine. And especially when he talks about Rey's theme as well, I will bring up, he loved writing Rey's theme and something that was different. And he seems so genuine about it and put so much heart and soul into it for these female characters. I think that goes underlooked a lot of the times, but he has gone on record saying that he really enjoys writing scores and themes for female characters or female leads. And just hearing him say that on stage, like, already got me teary-eyed, because Helena was such an important character for me personally. I loved her so much, and I'm glad we got to see her on screen, and I hope to see more of her and that they bring her back. But this character that I fell in love with, and the fact that the person that wrote my favorite theme for my favorite character in that movie also loves her as much as I do, it warms the soul, and it makes you feel good about the content that you're consuming, and that at the end of the day, there are people that care about making these movies. Yes, you could argue that corporations are just doing this to do it, doing this to add more money, and you would be totally correct. But at the end of the day, I do believe that there are people that do want to tell a story and do want to continue these stories in a meaningful way and give their heart and soul into the product. So, anyway, he went and they started Helena's theme, and I was already bawling, I think, in the first, 15-second mark, just hearing it, blew me away. And y'all know, I mean, I have talked about getting emotional in freaking Force Awakens a couple weeks ago and all the other movies, but this one, whoa, it really hit me hard because I've been listening to the song since the movie, even before the movie came out, when the soundtrack came out. That was the only song that I listened to, so I didn't get spoiled for the rest of the movie. I only listened to that song. And to hear that live was one of the greatest experiences I've ever had in my life. And I think that will always stick with me as something that I got to experience. And the fact that John Williams himself, directed it was totally a pleasure. So after that, of course, Raiders March, which I love. In Raiders March, there's a spot where you hear, I almost said Han, Indy and Marion's theme, and it is beautiful live. And, oh, it's so good. So that was really cool to, of course, see from him. And I actually heard a couple of people behind us that go every year, which honestly, I didn't even know you could do that. That's great. And they said that he never plays the theme from Jurassic Park, that it's been like 5 or 6 years since he's done it at a Hollywood Bowl. So, of course, he then played the theme from Jurassic Park, which was, again, amazing to hear live. I have seen a lot of videos on YouTube of orchestras playing it and him even directing it, but hearing that live and being there, you feel like a dinosaur is literally behind you and gonna start walking. And once you get the violins going at the second, oh my gosh, it's so good. I know I'm probably just, each song I'm going, oh my gosh, it's so good. It is. I promise you. Like, this entire score and every song that he plays is amazing. So that was really good. Then you have the theme from Schindler's List, which thank God he played it. He had them put it in the list, because I do think that that is one of his best scores that he's ever done. I mean, I'm literally actually getting chills talking about it. If you have not watched Schindler's List, I would totally recommend it. It is, of course, created by Steven Spielberg, but it is one of the hardest movies I think I've watched in a long time. There's a couple that go in with that category. I won't say it's at the top, but it is a movie that everyone should see at least once in their life. And it is, of course, the harsh reality of, the Holocaust and the genocide that happened in Germany. So, I mean, his music in that movie was so well done. And that was also one of the major beats in the movie as well, is how, John Williams scored it. And of course, I don't know if he actually said it in this, but I remember it from an interview, John Williams saying, or I think it was Spielberg actually brought it up, that John wanted to drop out. He didn't want to write the music because he felt like he wasn't good enough to do the music and tell the story that Steven wanted to tell. And Steven listened to it, and he said, if you cannot do it, then no one can. Because the amount of heart and soul that John really put into that score. And I don't think I've ever talked with anyone that has listened fully to the Schindler's List theme or even watched the movie and said, no, that was terrible. Or no, that didn't move me. Just the song itself, if you know the premise of the movie, and even if you don't, it is devastating. And one of the best things that I've heard in a long time. And I mean, there's really not much to say about it. I think everyone, what even gave me chills more and what made me, of course, cry, was everyone was silent when that song was being played. And it felt like everyone was transported back to either watching that movie, them watching that movie, or just thinking about the stuff that happened and keeping those people, of course, in our thoughts and always remembering them. But the entire bowl was just silent, listening to the song play. And that, I think, moved a lot of people, but specifically moved me, of how you can have these amazing songs like Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones, and Duel of the Fates, and you make people really, really happy and transport them to a different world. And then you can have devastating songs like Schindler's List that makes people think and makes people feel. And that's the duality of John Williams. He can make you happy and he can make you sad. And I think if a composer cannot do that, then you can't compose. I'm sorry, you can't write music. I think that's one of the main things of why to write music, and he just outdid it with this song. So if you've not seen the movie or know the premise, you're probably like, I don't know what they're talking about, but please consider it, or even just listen to the song. It is, I don't have words to really describe it. It is just a different experience altogether. So after that, he played the Asteroid Field, which I had never listened to at lengths, but it's now one of my favorite songs, and I love it so much, and it's so much fun and jumpy and bouncy, and you feel like you're flying through an asteroid field. So really cool, great, got to see that. Princess Leia's theme, I teared up at that one because I kept thinking of Carrie Fisher, and I was really scared. Not scared, but I didn't... Not that I didn't want them. I partly did want them to show, like, images of Carrie as Princess Leia or even her on the screen, but they didn't. But I knew if they did, I would probably be bawling my eyes out even more. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's good that they didn't. And, I mean, the song moved me to tears as well. But that's just because I was thinking of Carrie and thinking of Leia, and then that got me on to thinking about Ben and Kylo, and I was like, oh my god. So I was making myself tear up with that song, but listening to it live, again, amazing. And then he ended with the Throne Room and End Title, which of course was the classic. That was where it was supposed to end. That was it. He held up a lightsaber and did this full final finish. That was, I think, really cool too. He just looked like he was tired, but he was like a little kid. He was having so much fun. So everyone's I mean, it was probably a good 3 to 5 minutes of standing ovation. And he goes to leave and everything, and people are still clapping, and I'm just like, why are we still clapping? What are we doing? And then he comes back out again, and he does Yoda's theme, and everyone's like cheering and everything, and he does Yoda's theme, which was really cool to hear. And then everyone claps and everything, and then he goes to walk, and then he's like, and then everyone keeps clapping, so then he goes to playing the E.T. theme, which was cool. That one's pretty cool too, to listen live. I'm not a huge... Okay, it's gonna be a hot take, but I'm not a huge fan of E.T. I'm sorry, Spielberg. I love you, but it's not it for me. But the theme is actually pretty good, so that was nice to see. And then he starts to walk off again, and then finally he turns back and plays the Imperial March. And oh my gosh. I mean, every Star Wars fan was like, oh my god, this is, I think, the best ending ever. And he directed Imperial March like nothing else. It was so good, and the energy in the bowl was absolutely amazing. And I loved every second of it. And I just loved how childish he was, kind of walking back, and then people would still clap, and then he would walk back out again. It was just so cute, and it seemed like he had so much fun. Sometimes I always get scared that composers are just doing this for money, which is not necessarily bad. You gotta feed yourself, completely understandable. But it's so nice to see a composer, even an artist, as an artist myself, it's nice to see people take pleasure in their work and feel passionate about it and feel happy about it and the end product and having other people enjoy it and them replicating that enjoyment. So overall, it was an amazing night and one I don't think I will ever forget again. Now, of course, in 2022, I did not make it to Star Wars Celebration, which I am so sad about. And in 2025, I will not be making it to Japan for that Star Wars Celebration. Super sorry. But because I didn't go in 2022, I had the opportunity to do this. And, even though he did perform, I believe, at the celebration in 2022, I think he did. It was just a delight to see him on stage, and especially at the bowl as well. You just feel like you're being surrounded by the Hollywood dream. And yeah, it was really good. I'm so excited to see what he does with, I don't think it's been confirmed, but I believe he's coming out of retirement to write the Rey movie score. I don't know if he's doing it fully. He might come in like Obi-Wan Kenobi show and write a maybe revised Rey theme and then kind of maybe leave it to Michael Giacchino or... No, I trust Michael Giacchino. He's done a lot of my favorites, so I think Michael Giacchino is the next John Williams. I'm just gonna put that out there. If you've not heard any of his stuff, just look up Michael Giacchino, and I promise you, one of your favorite songs from a movie, he probably was, the person that wrote it. So he did Rogue One. He did not do Solo. I do love the Solo soundtrack though. He did Spider-Man. He's done a lot of different ones. So I do think he's the next John Williams. But for me, as I said before, one of the best experiences that I've had probably in my life. And that will probably stick with me till the end. So let me know what your favorite John Williams song is. Y'all know mine. Mine is Starkiller from, of course, Force Awakens. I think that song is probably one of the best that he's written. Even though it's like not like a minute 15 seconds, I still think it's some of the best piece of music that he has with Star Wars. I think Schindler's List honestly caps that. And of course I will put all of the songs in the description, but let me know what your favorite John Williams song is. And yeah, so anyway guys, thank you so much for listening, and I will see you guys in the next one.